She told me I wasn't the man she fell in love with, that I had changed, that she needed someone more ambitious, more exciting. And just like that, she walked away, chasing what she thought was better. But here's the thing. Sometimes life has a funny way of teaching people brutal lessons. And this is the story of how I became the man she could never have back. If you enjoy stories of transformation, self-improvement, and karma doing its job, make sure to subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. I still remember the way she looked at me that night. Cold, distant, like I was a stranger. "I need more," she said, as if the past years of love and commitment meant nothing. "You've become too predictable, too safe. I want passion, ambition, excitement." She didn't say the rest out loud, but I knew what she meant. She had already found someone else, someone she thought was better. At first, I was numb. How do you respond when the person you gave your heart to decides you're no longer enough? I went through the motions, trying to understand where I had gone wrong. I replayed our conversations, the subtle shifts in her behavior, the nights she came home later than usual. The signs had been there, but I had been too blind to see them. Then, one evening, I saw them together. It wasn't even a secret. They were laughing in a way she hadn't laughed with me in years, her hand resting on his arm like it belonged there. That was the moment something inside me snapped. Not in anger, not in sadness, but in clarity. If I wasn't enough for her, then maybe she wasn't enough for me either. I stopped waiting for her to come back. I stopped replaying the past. Instead, I focused on one thing, becoming the man I was meant to be, not for her, not for revenge, but for myself. I started making changes immediately. I hit the gym every morning, pushing myself harder than I ever had. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected over the years. I threw myself into my work with a passion I hadn't felt in ages. I rediscovered the things that made me feel alive. Travel, adventure, the thrill of new challenges. Months passed, and with every step forward, I felt lighter, stronger. I was no longer the man she had left behind. I was someone better. And then, just when I had nearly forgotten about her, she reappeared. She stood at my door, her confidence cracked, her voice softer than I remembered. "Can we talk?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I let her see what she had lost. And for the first time, I saw the regret in her eyes. I didn't invite her inside. Instead, I stepped onto the porch and leaned against the doorframe, watching her shift uncomfortably. She looked different, more fragile than I remembered. Maybe it was the way she hesitated before speaking, or the fact that her usual confidence had been replaced with uncertainty. "I've been thinking a lot," she finally said. "About us, about everything." I didn't respond, letting the silence stretch between us. Once, I would have been desperate to hear what she had to say, clinging to every word, searching for hope. Now I just observed. She let out a small breath, her hands tightening into fists at her sides. "I made a mistake." Her voice cracked, and I could tell it wasn't easy for her to admit. "I thought I wanted something different. I thought he was what I needed." There it was, the unspoken truth. She had chosen someone else, believing he was better. And now she was standing in front of me, realizing she had been wrong. I could have asked what happened. I could have made her explain how things fell apart, why the man she left me for didn't live up to her expectations. But I didn't need to. I already knew. I had seen it too many times before. People chasing after fantasies, only to realize too late that they had thrown away something real. "I don't blame you," I finally said, my voice calm. "We all make choices." Her eyes searched mine, looking for something. Maybe hope, maybe a chance at redemption. "Can we talk inside?" she asked. "Please." A few months ago, I would have said yes in an instant. I would have seen this as an opportunity, a second chance to fix what was broken. But now, standing in front of her, I felt nothing but a distant kind of understanding. I had spent so long believing I needed her to feel whole, but in her absence, I had found something better myself. "There's nothing left to talk about," I said, and I meant it. Her face fell, and for a moment, I saw the full weight of her regret. I miss you, she admitted. I miss us. The words didn't have the effect she hoped for. They didn't stir old emotions or make me question my decision. Instead, they only confirmed what I already knew. I had moved on, and she was the one stuck in the past. I'm not the same man you left, I told her. And I'm not interested in being someone's second choice. She opened her mouth as if to argue, but then she saw it. The certainty in my expression, the finality in my voice. There was nothing left for her here. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said, offering her one last nod before stepping back inside. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to, because for the first time in a long time, I was exactly where I was meant to be. Weeks passed, and life moved forward without hesitation. My days were filled with purpose. Early mornings at the gym, long hours dedicated to my career, and evenings spent with people who truly valued my presence. I had carved out a version of myself that was stronger, sharper, and more resilient than I ever thought possible. And the best part? I had done it without her. But life has a way of testing you, even when you think you've left the past behind. It happened on a crisp Saturday afternoon. I was at a cafe, enjoying a quiet moment with a book, when I heard a familiar voice. I didn't even need to look up. I already knew who it was. I thought that was you. Her voice was soft, cautious. I glanced up, meeting her eyes for the first time in weeks. She looked different, not just physically, but in the way she carried herself. There was no confidence, no arrogance, just hesitation, regret. Mind if I sit? She asked, gesturing to the empty chair across from me. I considered it for a moment before giving a small nod. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I had already won the only battle that mattered, the one within myself. She sat down, fidgeting with the sleeve of her sweater. You look good, she said after a moment. I thanked her, keeping my tone neutral. I've been hearing things, she continued, about you, about how well you're doing. There was something in her voice, a mix of admiration and something else, something closer to sadness. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I didn't say anything, letting her fill the silence. I don't know what I expected, she admitted. I thought maybe you'd be struggling, that maybe you'd miss me. She looked away, as if ashamed to say it out loud. I exhaled slowly, choosing my words carefully. I did miss you, I admitted, for a while. But then I realized something. I wasn't missing you. I was missing the idea of who I thought you were. And once I let go of that, everything changed. She flinched slightly, as if my words had struck something deep inside her. I was selfish, she whispered. I thought I needed more. I thought he was what I needed. She swallowed hard before continuing. But the truth is, I was wrong. I didn't need more. I needed to appreciate what I already had. There it was, the confession, the realization she had been too blind to see before. But it came too late. I had already healed, already moved on, and I wasn't about to let her pull me back into a place I had fought so hard to leave. I'm happy you figured that out, I said, my tone genuine. But that chapter is closed. Her eyes widened slightly, as if she hadn't considered that possibility. That I wouldn't be waiting for her. That I had built a life where she no longer had a place. I wish I could go back, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I wish I could undo everything. I gave her a small smile, one that held no malice, only understanding. But you can't, I said simply. And neither can I. She nodded slowly, as if finally accepting the reality she had tried so hard to deny. The silence stretched between us, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was final. After a moment, she stood. I won't bother you again, she said. I needed you to know. I nodded, watching as she turned and walked away. And just like that, the past was truly behind me. I closed my book, took a deep breath, and smiled. The best revenge was never about proving her wrong. It was about proving myself right.